Hey, this is Tyler from Subspace Transmissions.
And I'm Cam.
Cam, we just watched the series finale of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, What You Leave Behind, and
I'm still verklempt.
You know what? It's that Vic Fontaine crooning that has just stuck in my gut this entire time. I still need tissue paper just to wipe my tears clean. Tears of the prophets, that is. But Cam, what we want to know though is, after watching this finale, did it tie things up in a way where it could lead itself to more possibilities for, say, a hypothetical follow-up feature film, or would it be a little bit awkward, just the way that we said goodbye to everybody here?
Well, it's an interesting question, because so often you hear fans say, why was there no Voyager movie? Why was there... No one says Enterprise movie, but, you do hear...
I do.
Yeah, exactly. But, a lot of people say, why was there no DS9 movie? And it does raise an interesting question that previous to this series, all the other ones, original series and TNG, were queued up to go into movie series in a way.
Well, they lent themselves to one-off adventures,
definitely.
Whereas Deep Space Nine had this mythology around it, and you felt as if there's a lot of closure by the time you got to the end of the road here. And so then, would it just be weird if they gave it like a one-off adventure? Would it be satisfying if there was just a one-off adventure with these familiar characters on a familiar station?
Well, exactly, and that the fact that they're so scattered by the end of this finale, it's interesting in that... I think if you look at the mythology of Deep Space Nine and how rich the characters are, it actually lends itself incredibly well to a movie in a way, in that there's so much wealth of material to work with. It would be impenetrable to a new viewer, which I think is what holds it back. But also this finale, What You Leave Behind, it ends in such a way where you feel so content with where it left off that you almost are scared that you would want to go back.
I also wonder if it would become unwieldy, because you would feel as if you have to bring back so many of these different characters and do the characters justice. And, well, then if you don't, you're going to end up with an upset fan base. And I say unwieldy because, what happens with all these characters you're bringing back? You need to give everybody something to do. So then do you end up with 14 simultaneous storylines? Do some characters get to be part of the main storyline, but they only get a great character moment and that's it for them? I find it very difficult, but I think it would have, if there's something hypothetically going on, it'd have to focus on, I'd say, the return of Cisco. Obviously.
Explain that to a new viewer who didn't watch the show.
And then I think, just to make things work for other characters to become better ingrained with the series, perhaps the return of one Odo as well.
Yeah.
And I think you have those two threads going. You could theoretically get things to work, but honestly, I think it might make more sense to leave Worf out of the picture entirely. I think his story is for another era, for another franchise right now. I also wonder if maybe O'Brien, it'd just be too much trouble to get him back onto the station after he settled at Starfleet Academy.
I feel like of the characters, though, he's one of the easiest to rope back in.
Hey, Chief, we need help with this algorithm you wrote years ago.
Yeah. Aye, sir.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
The Worf one, I agree with you. The way this character ends off, you're like, that's a perfect ending for that character. However, that said, Worf's incredibly marketable, and I feel like when the execs are looking at their Deep Space Nine movie, Worf's at the top of the list of the characters who they want to see back. You know how the
Okay, but you know what? Let's stave off any criticisms from viewers. We both realize there's no way we're ever getting a film out of this.
No.
And again, so we're tackling it hypothetically. There's no way execs are going to have this debate about marketable characters. So
sure.
I'm tackling it purely from what makes sense from a story perspective.
No, yeah. I agree that those characters are done, but then it does raise the question, if you were to make a DS9 movie in this alternate future, which of the characters are you bringing back, and what are you focusing on?
Well, I would focus on Cisco, and I'd focus on Odo, and then from there, that is going to open up the door for you to get Jake and Cassidy involved with the Cisco storyline, and I'd say that there's going to be a lot for Kira to do with the Odo storyline, and then from there, you're going to have, say, Quark moments with Odo, and I think it's going to be easy enough to get, Bashir and O'Brien, their old back and forth, and then Ezri comes naturally as well.
Yeah.
So I think it could work.
Yeah.
But it would have to be a compelling enough story that does service to the mythology that's been built around this series, as well as the characters that I think have always been the strongest part of it as well.
Were you maybe surprised that they didn't try to give some of those characters cameos in future Star Trek series, just to use them as like kind of that friendly face to throw into cameos, because you would see them do that quite a bit on Voyager.
Well, what series would they've even had the opportunity to do that with?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
None.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you really wanted Nog to be part of the Pathfinder project.
And I did.
Yeah, with Barclay and Troy.
Yeah.
I don't really think it would have totally worked. So I'm okay, where we left off, or who we left behind.
Do you think there is ever in the future some sort of DS9 reboot film or something?
So, to answer your question and to acknowledge what everyone's thinking, no. The Zero Future, I think the best we can hope for is maybe in the Picard spin-off, there's a nod to Deep Space Nine. There's an acknowledgement of Deep Space Nine. I don't know. The best we could get is maybe O'Brien popping up and Worf saying, hey, remember that time I was on Deep Space Nine?
Minsk.